Both our players are ready. Our map is finalised. Our games are tied. I'm ready. Are you ready, Roncat?
I was born ready, Marshall.
Let's go.
Look at those beautiful commanders. No donuts in sight. Hang on. I think we may need to restart this map.
Yes, I agree.
Oops. Oh, let's just wait for this. Let's wait for this.
I edited this out. Can you hop up there?
Yeah, I'll go and explain. You can reset things.
Oh. Oh dear. Chat, you saw nothing. You saw nothing. You saw nothing, Shush.
Well, that went well.
Yeah. Don't worry. Emergency fixes are underway. I'm back.
Okay, the players are ready. I'm ready. Marshall's ready. Marshy's bladder is ready. Let's do this.
Oh dear. After all
I
that,
took the opportunity to look in some of the off-topic memes. They are very
Spicy.
high quality.
they are very spicy.
Very high
though.
quality.
Classic.
I don't,
you
once
don't
someone's
think...
decided that they're going orbital, there's no real way to stop them.
Not really, no. I mean, the bases are far enough apart. It's a 500 radius planet.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to spawn up there. I'm just going to get our camera positions set up nice and ready. There we go. So you can see what's going on. So, you've got this naval planet there. If you build your stuff up on the land, you've got a couple of expansions there in the rear if you so desire. You've got this central platform, if you so desire to go for that as well. Naval down the sides. Your island, as I mentioned. And then off-planet, you've got Zappa. 2 helis required. Probably should have gone for a 1 heli. And also Res, which is a desert planet there. And then your gas
Right, here we are. Marshall, we are here in the final of the Beast versus Beast tournament with 2 of Planetary Annihilation's top players playing for the grand prize of $1,000 with Nick in blue on the North Pole, Andreas in purple on the South Pole. How much naval do you think we're going to see on this game versus orbital?
I reckon probably a lot more naval than orbital. There's a lot of spread out metal around the place. And I think getting this central platform is going to be a little key, but not necessarily super consequential. The problem is going to be able to defend. Are these players going to be able to defend along these fronts here and here? If they can do that, and also around here, if they can defend that, they should be okay to get into orbital. But that's going to be a lot of difficulties for them.
I can see drifters being a potential backdoor option here, because neither player, I can fairly well predict, neither player is going to be particularly trying to defend their island at this stage. So the drifters could be quite a nice little way of just sort of sneaking in past all the naval defences, particularly those nasty torpedo launchers. If we get to that stage, of course. If the players decide to play a naval game, I strongly suspect Nick is going to go and try and play on the gas giant, because he loves gas giants.
He loves gas giants, and, well, as we've seen from previous games, he's good at them as well. Andreas here on the South Pole, though, going for the 4 metal expansion to his west. rather than the triple to his east. Makes sense, I guess. Going there with 2 fabs, 2 piranhas to defend, and making sure Nick isn't getting anywhere with his Icarus. He's even going in and making sure that Nick doesn't have one of those, taking it out nicely there. Reasonably good air trades from him as well.
Yeah, there's a good early bit of air micro from Andreas. Still seeing fairly heavy air focus on both players, which I understand, given the distance between these 2 bases. Nick now building an aggressive naval factory, trying to build towards his opponent in the naval space.
And he's done it
I
on
can understand
the
why
triple.
air is...
He's done it on the triple as opposed to the 4, which is interesting. Meanwhile, Andreas has gone for the 4, and he hasn't got anything committed to the other side there. So he's going to have to scout that and notice it. Here he comes. Here comes Nick with an Icarus. That's looking mighty dangerous.
Air trades. Who would ever have thought that someone would have said that? Oh no, here comes an Icarus, looking dangerous. Yeah, here we are.
But there is a Galata there defending those 2 fabs, so the Icarus might have a bit of a harder job dealing with that, and down it goes.
He's not really pushed his advantage there. Meanwhile, Icarus.
Oh dearie me!
Fab gone.
Oh,
taken out. Defended.
No! Oh, that was very close.
Some good trades here. Very good trades by both players here. Really watching their flanks, defending their fabricators, and reacting well to their opponent's moves. No slip-ups yet that I've been able to see.
No major ones, certainly not. Both players now also getting a vehicle factory on the land. Andreas has had one for a while, so he's got drifters out as well as a vehicle fab to get that 5 mechs that you can grab from your spawning island there, which will really catapult him a little bit further forward into this game. Nick going for his orbital launcher straight away there. Andreas not doing so by the looks of things. If Andreas can scout this, he will at least be wise to it. That is important. Will he scout it? Will he see the nonsense that is Nick's base? He doesn't. He's flying in the opposite direction. That is big.
Shame.
That is very, very big indeed.
He's got to be thinking orbital though. Andreas has got to be thinking that Nick is going to go for that gas giant, and he's got to be wise to it. If he doesn't, he's going to throw the game.
It all comes down to this one.
Watching. It does. This is it. Ultimately, the last 3 hours and 45 minutes have been for nothing. Well, they're not for nothing. They've got
What?
into this game.
You're saying that me destroying my voice for the past however many hours has been for nothing? For nothing?
Both players have worked extremely hard to get themselves into this final. This is really the deciding fight.
Nick
now, Andreas can see that Nick has got an Andreas. He's got to be thinking orbital now. He's got to be reacting to this. He's going for tier 2 naval instead.
I mean, he might be playing for the win on this planet, but Nick is getting off-world, getting his commander safe. He don't care about this base. He feels sure that he can micro his base here while settling on Rez, the desert planet.
That com is gone.
Interesting. That com is gone.
Com is gone.
I like it. Right, so he's gone over to this location. Interesting.
So now Nick is playing a no-risk game over on current. He can do whatever he wants on here. He knows that if he loses it, doesn't matter. He can start again elsewhere. Andreas still has not gone orbital.
And Nick also has that Faber on the gas giant. It's idle at the moment.
Here it goes.
But that's because he's going to be busy.
A factory and a jig. And a jig in that order. Orbital now from Andreas, but it's queued. It's queued up after the tier 2 naval. He's prioritizing the tier 2 naval over the orbital. I think that's a mistake.
As long as he gets out that T2 naval, he can start threatening Nick's eco on this planet. But as you say, he has to get up there to central current. It really is so important, especially when $1,000 rides on having a decent economy. Nick currently stalling for metal. If Andreas can exploit this, he might be able to do something. The problem is Nick's commander is not in his base. And this Icarus is still floating around, being a nuisance. These 2 fabs from Andreas, I was going to say, are in jeopardy, but less so now.
Saved. Interesting, once again, Andreas, with his tier 2 naval, he's going for the Typhoon. He loves his Typhoons. They haven't served him well in the previous games.
Well, in the previous games, he was struggling for metal. Now he's got plenty of metal. And with that, he will be able to keep producing those drones at a rate of knots. The difficulty is keeping track of Nick. I've got in my picture-in-picture there Nick's little base over on Res and also on Central Current. Let's just double check to make sure he's not also going to Zappa. It doesn't look like it presently.
Well, in theory now, what should be happening is that Nick's attention should be focused elsewhere, not on the home planet. But it looks like even without his attention being focused here, his naval forces are still able to push through and cause some real problems for Andreas now. He's actually threatening his expansion, but there's a torpedo launcher there. There's a torpedo launcher and a single wall defending it, very well placed. Is that going to be enough to thwart that attack? Looks like it might be. Unfortunately, poor micro from those naval units. As we said, Nick focusing his attention elsewhere. Didn't focus on the torpedo launcher, lost that particular raid. We've got some drifters from Andreas now. Sat out in the open, not doing very much. A vulnerable mechs from Nick there. Nick is still behind in the eco game, and Andreas needs to press his advantage home. Those drifters are currently not doing that.
Ooh, there was a little bit of a scuffle on the gas giant there. Andreas tried to hop in and take out a couple of Nick's orbital fabs, but Nick does have an orbital factory up there now, so even if those fabs are gone, there'll be some behind in very, very short order. The thing is, this jig is going to bring Nick back up into positive integers and in a big way. Andreas still, as we say, behind.
But does Nick actually have the wherewithal to defend this jig once it gets built? Because all Andreas needs to do now is build up a small Avenger force and drop it directly on top of that jig, and it'll very soon collapse. But unfortunately, it looks like he's also queuing those Avengers onto the gas giant, which actually is not the best move for Andreas right now. He needs to be saving those on current and drop them all on there at once to try and take out the jigs.
Yeah, Andreas definitely needs to have a consolidated effort onto there. But as you just pinged, we have got that T2 naval coming up now. It's very slow moving. It gives Nick a chance to get his, I was going to say up and running, but it looks like the fabs are gone. And that's decaying now into nothingness. And here we are with those drones. Andreas now struggling for metal, but picking off Nick's expansion. Andreas winning the main planet here.
I think he's going to kick Nick off. I think that Nick is not focusing enough on trying to fight on this planet, and as a result, Andreas is going to be able to take it from him.
This is true. So Nick did a pretty good job in getting off world, exploiting the fact that Andreas would be going for the slower build, that is T2 naval. Right? But that being said, Nick is going to go up in eco and then back down again. And the thing is, he's on those other planets now. Andreas just has to move over to Zappa or chase him over to Res with a decent land or T2 air force, and he might be able to pull something out of the bag there. But he has to get onto gas in a meaningful way and stop Nick's exponential growth over there. That's the key now for Andreas. It really needs to be his focal point because, as you say, Nick is being fought off this planet big time.
But Andreas has got to make that move soon before Nick is able to get himself entrenched on that gas giant. Once he's entrenched there, once that eco gets going, there is nothing Andreas is going to be able to do. He needs to recognize the emerging threat from that eco boost there. He needs to drop some Avengers or other orbital offensive units in there amongst the jigs and make them all chain react against one another and blow up. That's what he needs to do, and he needs to do it bloody quick because Nick is pulling ahead in this orbital game.
That being said, Nick with an SXX popped it over. Looks like it's coming back to try and snipe Andreas's commander. Andreas has no anti-orbital defense. Could this be it? The Umbrella's coming up now as fast as it can. The SXX is there. Nick, straight away, zap zap. Is he going over to the Umbrella? Surely. To finish off that Umbrella. And it's gone.
It goes. Is this the game?
No way. No way is that it. A simple SXX snipe.
This isn't how this game ends. Surely not.
We need to get a Stingray. We need to get a Stingray out of this T2. Yes, Andreas cancelled his Typhoon and he's building his Stingray now. But he has to keep his commander alive. Can he do it? It's going to be exceedingly close. He doesn't have the Fabbers to assist that T2 naval, and his commander is stuck in the water, and it's losing health very quickly. Could this be the $1,000? Oh, the SXX has stopped attacking the commander. Oh, it's coming back. I was going to say.
I don't think he's going to have this Stingray out in time. I think this is it. I think we're about
that
to
must
see
be
the
it,
end
surely.
of the tournament. Is this the $1,000 money shot?
And Andreas doesn't have the eco to rush this up. This is it. This is $1,000 to Nick. This is
$1,000 SXX.
Rip GG. Well played, he says, conceding his distinct and tangible inferiority. He is officially, as Quitch said, a loser.
And that means not only does Nick go home the winner of a $1,000 prize pool, Andreas has to eat a hat.
You leave with nothing.
We were told earlier that if Nick was able to pull off a successful Sizzix snipe against Andreas again, that Andreas would eat his hat. And it was said live in front of 100 viewers, and therefore, one hat is owed. Well, that was... I'll be honest, I was expecting that game to go on for a little longer, Marshall.
I was as well. I wasn't expecting Andreas' eco to be in such a bad shape that he wasn't able to get that umbrella up as fast as it needed to do. I mean, personally, I don't know why he didn't have an umbrella up the moment he saw that Andreas was getting a consolidated position on the gas giant. That should be your first reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Which
even
I guess
a single umbrella would have been enough to thwart that.
A single Stingray even. Going for a second Typhoon was a bit of a misplay personally, because he was already pushing into Nick's base with his Typhoon, so he wouldn't necessarily have needed a second one at that point. Well, let's go and talk to them. Let's go and see what they say.
Let's do that.
Congratulations, Nick. You take home $1,000. And Andreas, you leave with nothing. What are your thoughts? Andreas, let's start with you.
Well played by Nick. Should have seen it coming, and I did, but too late. And I mean, it's three of the systems is one has been gas, so it's clearly a strength of his. Just rush out there and get the jigs and the SSXs in.
Absolutely. I have to say that, Andreas, I have to remind you of something that you said a little earlier on. You did tell Nick that if he was able to pull off a successful SXX snipe against your commander, that you would eat a hat.
Yeah, I'm eating my hat right now. Rip.
Gloating aside, I think you gotta give it to him. Like, he did own me on the land balance, and that's where most of ranked currently is. So if this was ranked, he'd have owned me in my current state.
So, Nick, how are you feeling right now?
I feel like the preparation paid off more than my execution, especially practicing orbital, researching how orbital works. Coming up with a strategy before the game started was really important, and making that strategy work is what won me the final.
So you felt that you were able to successfully execute the strategy despite never having seen the system before?
Yeah, I think I just outsmarted them this time around. Again, very few viewers actually play play orbital, and Andreas hasn't played for a while, so this was heavily in my favor from the get-go.
Andreas, does that sound fairly accurate to you?
Well, I had my chances and I squandered them, and well, he deservedly won this, I guess. It's completely on us, right? It's the decisions we make. And
But this is the thing. So
this one, he got the better strategy apparently, or the better execution, one of the two. And I went into orbital too late. So
this is the thing. You have to remember, you guys have been playing one another now for nearly 4 hours, and in that time, you've each made countless decisions and strategic maneuvers against one another. And every single one of those has contributed to getting you both into the final. And then for that final, Nick, you just about managed to bring yourself out on top, and I think the speed with which you got into the orbital game really played to your favour there.
Yes, so.
So I think
It
that
was
then leaves
definitely an
me.
exhausting day.
Yeah, I can imagine exhausting. I was saying this earlier on. You two are having to keep your brains on 100% for the entirety of these games, and that's mentally and physically very exhausting. I know that from experience. So I want to say well done to both of you for having the stamina to get through 9 games versus one another, and to thank you both for coming along and participating in this grand tournament that we've been holding today. So thank you to both of you.
And thank you to Mike H and PA Inc. for hosting. Yeah, it's been good. It's been fun to get back into the game again. I mean, this is the kind of thing that I enjoy with this game, and Nick is it's a very fine opponent indeed, and it was a good reason to get back into shape again. So let's hope there will be more good tournaments with prizes on the line. Maybe some that everybody get a shot in. Also, people who have similar skills to us and were not able to participate in this one.
Could this be the beginning of a sort of reinvigorated King of the Planet, as it were, from back in the day?
I'm looking forward to that. I think that would be a really great thing to do for revitalizing this game's community.
There's many things you can do. You can host tournaments. You can have a King of the Planet star, right? The possibilities are endless.
Well, I think you guys have certainly opened a lot of our viewers' eyes to the possibilities that exist within PA tonight. There have been some fascinating strategies. It's been an absolute pleasure having both of you, both to watch playing the game and to have you here talking crap to each other on stream as well. It's been tremendous fun. Thank you, both of you.
Allow us to say though that, like, we like each other. We try to not get deep, but like me and Nick, we get along fine. And he's a fun opponent to have, and it was just well deserved. Well played by him. And I'll get you next time.
Looking forward to you trying.
I mean, after getting you 2 seasons in a row, then it was just in its place that you finally won something.
We'll see about that, buddy.
Fantastic, guys. We'll leave you there. Thank you so much, and we will catch you around.
GG's.
GG's.
Thanks for organizing and casting.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.